He's
IT.
IT.
No, we're keeping it quick today, right? I ask you every year.
Pressure on me.
Just the Reader's Digest, buddy. That's all.
All right. Call the meeting to order at Smontcalm County Board of Commissioners regular meeting for Monday, April 13th. We'll begin with pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Vice Chairman Peterson. Please.
Pastor Dennis Ross from Nevins Lake Church here to lead us in prayer, please.
Right. Heavenly Father, we thank you for all that we have, all that you've given to us. We thank you for the way that you continue to meet all of our needs. We continue to pray for our commissioners for this meeting today and for their duties outside this place. Pray that you give them great wisdom and the ability to do what's right. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Alexander,
Here.
Johnston,
Here.
Peterson,
Yes, ma'am.
Johnson,
Here.
Mahar,
Here.
Carr,
Yes.
and Murray.
Here. Everyone's here. Everyone have a copy of the last, or on the agenda. I don't have any changes. Does anyone else have any additions or deletions?
Chair. Oh,
Commissioner Chair, I move to approve the agenda. It's presented.
There's support.
support.
It's been moved and supported to approve the agenda as presented. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. On the meeting minutes, everyone have a copy of the meeting minutes? The last regular session, March 23rd.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Johnston.
I'd move to approve our minutes from our regular board meeting on March 23rd, 2026 as presented.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve the regular meeting minutes, the last meeting, March 23rd, 2026 as presented. Discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public comments. Hearing no public comments, our first timed agenda item 405, we have the Animal Control Director, Autumn Pumford, with us to discuss grant approval.
Hi there.
Welcome.
Thank you. I was looking to seek approval. We have a grant company, the one we've reached out to in years past. We're looking to put up a little lean-to and pasture paddock behind the shelter. For all those that don't know, we take anything domestic. So we get goats, sheep, horses, cattle, donkeys upon occasion. And we've just ran into strange places to put them. We've occasionally used our play yard, but they seem to draw a lot of attention, and then we can't use our play yard. So we're looking to put a designated spot at the shelter for them from we get them. The maintenance department offered to put up the fencing for it, and then we got a quote from the new they took over where the old bowling alley was for a quote for like a little lean-to. So the grant overall was about $3,500, and it's a reimbursement grant like the years past.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for the director?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Vice Chairman Peterson.
congratulations on the new cow. I saw
Thank
that. Had your first baby cow, correct?
Yes.
This is pretty cut and dry. I know that grants come in and we do this all the time. So I would move to approve the grant as presented and allow for appropriate signatures. Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve the grant as presented and allow for the appropriate signatures. Discussion. Is there any question about the amount of space or the usage of that land? What little bit they would use for that? Or
I think she indicated that she's gonna put it out back behind the
in
shelter.
plenty of
We don't-
room and that
Yeah.
isn't gonna infringe
Yeah, we
on
just
anybody
cleared
else's
that area a
future
few years ago when we put in like the new drain field and septic. So
Okay. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Autumn. Our next item is 410. Joe, you're set to go anytime. We'll get you on early.
I'm starting the clock, Joe.
One of my customers taps his watch if I start talking too long. So
I like that move. I'll just start doing this. Wrap that up.
good afternoon. I thank the board for allowing us to continue serving as your audit firm. I know this year was up for renewal, and we certainly appreciate the opportunity to be back. And the audit process, as usual, went smoothly. We received a set of financial statements from the county, and we went through and confirmed and verified the numbers that were provided to us. And what matters more than anything else is on page 1, second paragraph. That's where we include the opinion on the financial statements. And we wrote, in our opinion, the financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial condition of the county as of September 30, 2025. And this is referred to as a clean opinion on your financial statements. The technical term is an unmodified opinion, but I always explain it as being a clean opinion. This is the gold standard. This is the highest level of an opinion that we can provide in your financial statements. It means that your financials are accurate, timely, and verifiable. It always should be your goal to get to the point where you have a clean opinion on your financial statements. But we have had larger organizations that can't stand behind certain numbers on their financials, and for that reason, we've had to issue qualified or adverse opinions. So kudos to the staff for getting to this point. If you go to page 2, we see a somewhat unique paragraph. It's an emphasis of matter paragraph. And every 3, 4, or 5 years, when the Governmental Accounting Standards Board issues a new pronouncement that has an impact on the financial statements of our clients, we include an emphasis of matter paragraph. This paragraph is simply stating that the county did implement GASB 101, Governmental Accounting Standard Board Statement number 101 for compensated absences. Nothing too significantly changed. It's just a more conservative approach to valuing your pay time off. And it did increase your overall liabilities on your financial statements, but not to a material impact. It doesn't have a significant impact on your financial statements, but it certainly was implemented during the course of the year. Next, if you go to page 6 of the financial statements, this is the first page of management's discussion and analysis. And I every year walk readers through this section because here we see financial highlights. We get to see some of the 2-year comparative financials, get an idea for some of the trends in your finances. And then there's narrative explaining reasons behind significant changes in your revenues and expenses and assets and liabilities for the past 2 years. That first bullet point in the financial highlights section shows theoretically if the county were to sell all of its assets and pay all of its liabilities, then the difference would be the net position of approximately $54 million. But that includes buildings and infrastructure and land, things of that nature. It includes restricted assets, things that you can't spend. But what is relevant is whether or not that number is increasing over time. And the last number in that first bullet point shows that your revenues exceeded your expenses by $1,485,000 across all funds of the county for the 12 months ended September 30, 2025. That means that the financial position improved. So if a reader of the financial statement asks, is the county better off financially at September 30, 2025 compared to September 30, 2024? The answer is yes, by approximately $1.5 million. Second bullet point down, now we're talking just about the governmental funds of the county. And we're on the modified accrual or the cash basis of accounting. And we can see that as of the end of the year, your total fund balances across all governmental funds, it came in right around $28.7 million. And that was a decrease of about $710,000 during the course of the year. And that means that cash out of your governmental funds exceeded the cash in by approximately $710,000. And the next bullet point, the third bullet point, your general fund. Now we're looking just at your general fund. Total fund balance came in at $19.47 million at year end. And that was a decrease of approximately $3.2 million. It was a planned decrease. There were appropriations approved by the board for various purposes, the biggest one being road commission or road projects, $2 million. So that was the primary reason that we see a decrease in your general fund balance, 3.2 million. That leaves $12,698,280 of unassigned fund balance. Unassigned fund balance is important. It's the amount that the county has to cover the day-to-day cost of running the county. You can use that for local grant matching dollars. You can use it for just the day-to-day cost of one-time expenditures and the daily cost of running the county. If we take that number and divide it by your annual general fund expenditures, you're at about 61.3% funded. Very healthy. Not too much, not too little, very healthy unassigned fund balance as of September 30, 2025. Next, if you go to page 9, we get a look at the comparative assets and liabilities for the last 2 years of the county. I'm going to focus on the last 2 columns. These are across all funds as of September 30, 2024. The last column compared to September 30, 2025. The second to last column. And if you look 4 rows up from the bottom, the net investment in capital assets increased by roughly $1.8 million. And that means that during the course of the year, a significant amount of funds were invested in the infrastructure of the county, leading to an overall increase in your total fixed assets. And then if you look 2 rows underneath that, the unrestricted net position decreased roughly $800,000 from $34.3 million to about $33.4 million. So a slight decrease in your unrestricted net assets, but your total net position did increase by roughly 1.4, almost $1.5 million. So. And then if you go now to page, I'm sorry, I put my pages in the wrong order. If you go to page 10, we get a look at the revenues and expenses of the county for, again, the last 2 years, fiscal 24, fiscal 25. And if you look 4 rows down from the top, the general revenue section, taxes increased from 16.6 million up to 17.7 million. The overall millage rates actually had a slight decrease during the course of the year. So your tax revenues increased primarily because of the increase in taxable values within the county. So that means basically about almost 9% increase in taxable values, meaning that there's development, there's land, properties are being sold that's driving up your taxable values. For that reason, we can see a healthy increase in your tax revenues during the course of the year. If you look about halfway down the page in the expense section, you can see public works increased from about 1.1 million during fiscal 24 up to about 2.56 million in fiscal 25. The biggest reason being the appropriation to the road commission. And then you can also see that the ambulance expenses increased about 2/3 of the way down the schedule here from 6.3 million up to about 7.15 million. So roughly $900,000 increase in total ambulance expenses, but that was offset by increased charges for services in the ambulance fund. Altogether, you can see 3 rows up from the bottom, very last column, a $3.6 million increase in net position during fiscal 24 and another $1.49 million increase during fiscal 25. So back-to-back years of increasing net position across all funds of the county, just indicating that you're operating at a sustainable level over time. If you go now to page 20, we get a look at the governmental funds of the county for the 12 months ended September 30, 2025. And this is on the modified accrual basis of accounting or the cash basis of accounting. And the first column is your most important fund, your general fund. As mentioned, 3 rows up from the bottom had about a $3.2 million decrease in fund balance, leading to an ending fund balance of about $19.47 million. Your indigent defense was considered a major fund, same with the opioid settlement. Those between the two of them basically broke even, about a $59,000 increase in total fund balance between those 2 funds. And then all of the other governmental funds were considered non-major. We aggregate those together on this schedule. They show a $2.44 million increase in fund balance during the course of the year. But those funds are all restricted, and those funds are earmarked for specific purposes. But altogether, the very last column shows about a $710,000 decrease in total fund balance during the course of the year. if you turn now to page, I apologize, I put my pages in the wrong order.
Could you tell us what we're looking for so we can,
Yes, if you go now to page 24. I was on vacation last week and I don't think my brain's firing on all cylinders today. Page 24 is a statement of cash flows. And this shows the business type funds of the county. And the very first column shows your ambulance fund. The day-to-day operations of the ambulance fund used about $1.6 million of cash flows. The next section down shows that during the course of the year, the property taxes primarily yielded about $1.36 million of additional revenues in that ambulance fund to subsidize the operating activities. And then about $1.9 million of funds were used for various fixed asset purchases within the ambulance fund. So altogether, 3 rows up at the bottom in the ambulance fund, you can see a decrease in cash of about $1.94 million. So just useful to look at these business type funds and see how they're doing from a cash flow perspective. You can see a significant consumption in the ambulance fund. The delinquent tax revolving fund, conversely, had about a $1.48 million increase in total cash flows during the course of the year. All the other enterprise funds, the third column over, had about an $849,000 increase in cash flows during the year. Altogether, the total enterprise funds, about $390,000 of positive cash flows during the course of fiscal 25. Now, if you go all the way to page 50, we get into the footnote section of the audit report. And just real quickly, I wanted to point out the change in long-term debt. And you can see that at least within the governmental and business type activities, certainly the drain funds still have outstanding debt, but the governmental and business type activities, you can see the long-term bonds have been paid off. So those general obligation bonds had the final principal and payment of $890,000 made during the course of fiscal 25, leading to an ending balance of zero. Same with the business type activities. And the drain funds do have about $2.9 million. If you look 4 columns over, 3 rows up for the bottom, you can see the amount of general obligation debt held within the Drain Commission, with about $133,000 of principal scheduled to be paid down on those bonds during the course of fiscal 26. Now, if you go all the way to page 72, this shows the county's net pension liability for each of the past 10 years. And the very first column shows results as of December 31st, 2024. And the top section shows the total pension liability, the amount that the county is going to pay over the next 30, 40, 50 years to fully meet its pension obligation is approximately $36.2 million. And then if you look about 2/3 of the way down, you can see the planned fiduciary net position of about $27.2 million. That's the amount that the county has set aside to cover those long-term pension liability obligations. And that leads to, when we take the total assets and subtract them from the total liability, about $9 million net pension liability as of September 30, 2015 and 2025. And then if we take your total assets and divide it by your total liabilities, the county's at about 75% funded, up from about 74% during fiscal 24. So you're trending in the right direction. Our clients on average are approximately 75% funded. So you're right on track with being funded at an appropriate level. And as long as the county continues to make your annual required contribution set forth by MERS on an annual basis, you'll be fully funded in about 15 years. Similarly, if you go to page 74, 2 pages, you can see that the county's progress in funding the retiree healthcare obligation. So this has a different timing. The timing of the actuary evaluation coincides with the county's fiscal year end. So as of September 30, 2025, the total OPEB liability, according to the actuary, to meet the retiree healthcare, the healthcare obligation, $1.18 million. And over the past 3 years, the county has set aside $567,335 to meet that obligation. If you look about 3/4 of the way down the page, your net OPEB liability has improved to roughly $613,000. And when we take your total retiree healthcare assets and divide it by your total retiree healthcare liability, you're at about 48.1% funded. And then if you look all the way back, or as recently as 2022, the county was at 0%. So you've made significant progress in funding that. Most of our clients are somewhere in the 30 to 40% range. So you guys are at 48%, a little bit better than average with what we're seeing out there. And you've made up significant ground in the past 4 years in terms of.
So if I could interject, we're only required to do a minimum of 40%.
Mhm.
So that's kind of my standard, or where I'm going. I don't anticipate funding it any further than that.
Mhm.
Really.
Yep. And then lastly, if you go to page 117, 117 gets us into the middle or towards the end of the federal compliance section. And because the county received and expended more than $1 million of federal funds during the course of fiscal 25, in addition to doing a standard financial statement audit, we also perform a federal single audit as report as well. And what that means is we take a look at the different federal grants received by the county. We perform risk assessment procedures on those grant funds, and we select one or two of those grants on an annual basis. We make sure that you are receiving and expending those funds in accordance with all the compliance requirements set forth by the federal government. This year it was Child Support Services was the major program that we took a look at. And if you look halfway down the page in the federal awards section of the schedule of findings and question costs, you can see that we also have a second unmodified opinion. So we look at your compliance over that major program. We make sure that your controls are suitably designed and effectively operating to ensure, provide you with reasonable assurance that you are compliant with those federal funds. And again, unmodified doesn't sound flattering, but it's a clean opinion on compliance. So you are receiving those funds. You have good controls in place over those funds. You're following those controls effectively on a day-to-day basis and accordingly. Clean opinion. If you look above the unmodified opinion, you see that there were no reported significant deficiencies or material weaknesses. So a clean opinion on internal control, clean opinion on compliance, clean opinion on your financial statements and healthy financial position. Those are the highlights that I've got, but I'm certainly happy to take any other questions the board might have.
Okay, thank you. Anyone have any questions for Joe?
I got one thing I want to talk about. So just in the light of transparency, we did receive a request for improvement of deficiencies corrective action plan because we had funds, we had departments within the general fund that were over budget for 3 years in a row, which I wasn't aware that was a thing. Did we get that because a specific department was over 3 years, or just we were over 3 years in a row with?
This is a new requirement set forth by Treasury. What they do is they look at every local unit's general fund. They don't look at how healthy, whether or not the general fund is healthy. They look at, is general fund balance increasing or decreasing? And if there are consecutive years of decreasing fund balance, that's what triggers that letter.
Okay.
So it doesn't mean that there's an issue with your general fund. It just means that expenditures have exceeded revenues in consecutive years. They don't look at transfers in, they don't look at transfers out. So you could actually have increasing fund balance and still get that letter.
Mhm.
And the county, you guys have more unassigned fund balance than an average county does. You guys are doing fine. So yes, it's an automatic letter. It gets triggered by Treasury. It's a matter of taking the time to complete a corrective action plan. I don't know that I've ever seen a client get their corrective action plan rejected by Treasury. They just want to make sure they're essentially pointing it out.
Well, I guess I'm looking for some advice on
Oh,
what
sure.
would I say in a corrective action plan for this.
I would say that it was budgeted by the Board of Commissioners. We are aware. We have healthy unassigned fund balance.
Should I let them know we're intentionally spending down our fund balance? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Because you have good controls over, your budget compliance. You're compliant with the budget. You're compliant with the Budget Act. Everything checks out. It's just
Okay.
this automatic letter that's getting triggered by Treasury now.
All right, yeah, because I noticed one department hit all 3 years, the last 3 years.
Mhm.
It was just that one. All right. Okay.
If you'd like us to help, we would be happy to,
I may
with
ask
more
from-
specifics. Mhm.
Okay.
All right. Anyone else? You must have explained it very well.
I guess so.
And in a timely manner even.
Yeah,
Do you need need a motion to place this on file?
accept it.
Right.
What's that one?
Mr. Chairman, I would move to accept and place on file the annual financial report ending September 30th, 2025.
Support. It's been moved and supported. Discussion. Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
We'll be in touch.
Yes, sounds good.
Up next is tonight's correspondence. Vice Chairman Peterson, please.
All right, first up on page 15, it looks like it is Men's Health Month in June. And we are being asked to send a proclamation or a resolution recognizing Men's Health Month. Is this something everybody wants to do? Commissioner Alexander pointed out that Men's Health Day coincides with Juneteenth, or as Commissioner Carr would call it, Juneteenth. Is anybody against sending a resolution of support for Men's Health Month? I guess I'm pretty indifferent about it. I don't know what it's gonna do.
I'm indifferent.
I'm indifferent. Does anybody have a burning passion to do it?
No.
Would you like us to place it on file? I would move to place this request on file.
Support. It's been moved and supported to place item 1 on file. Discussion. Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, next up, page 17, the Montcalm County Housing Commission has recommended the appointment of Randy Heckman to replace Paul Rufus with a term to expire on February 15th, 2029. Does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, I would move to approve the appointment of Randy Heckman to the Montcalm County Housing Commission with a term to expire on 2/15/2029.
Support. It's been moved and supported. Discussion.
He does everything else.
Who's that, Randy?
Randy.
I knew that sounded familiar, but why?
Over in Howard City, he was like the fire chief.
Oh, okay.
He ran
Got a
funeral home,
Yep,
landscaping
yep,
business,
yep,
you
yep.
name it, he can get it done.
Yep.
President
Fudge.
of the village.
Yeah.
Board.
Yeah, I think he mows the graveyard next to my house. That's how I recognize it.
Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, next, page 19. If you see here, during our budget development last year, we approved an $8,000 fix for the north entry concrete at the jail. It should have been $80,000. As a correction, the building and grounds director would like to move the replace carpeting at the court complex project for $75,000 to next year's budget and apply that money to this year's budget and replace the north entry concrete at the jail. Would anyone be opposed to that? I think the carpet can hold on one more year.
Probably.
I would move to allow the budget allocation for the 2026 capital improvement projects to be adjusted as presented.
Support. It's been moved and supported. Discussion. If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
All right, next up, starting on page 21, are warrant reports, starting with warrant report 03260 or 262026 in the amount of $746.58, along with warrant report 04022026 in the amount of $357,152.46. Also warrant report 04092026 in the amount of $901,896.92. And finally, warrant report 04132026 in the amount of $573,371.69 for a grand total of $1,997,167.65. Brenda, is that right?
Correct.
I'm on a roll. If nobody has any questions about the warrants, I would move to approve and allow for the appropriate signatures.
Support. It's been moved and supported to approve the 4 warrant reports totaling $1,997,167.65. Discussion. If there's no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, next, consent agenda, items 8 through 11. You'll see there the Crystal Township Blight Enforcement Agreement, and other things, budget review. If no one has anything to add to those items, I would move to place items 8 through 11 of the consent agenda on file.
It's been moved and supported to place items 8 through 11 of the consent agenda on file. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And finally, for your information, items 2 through 15, and then resolutions from other counties. If nobody has anything about those, that will be your board correspondence for Monday, April 13th.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chairman Peterson.
Thank you.
Up next is committee reports. We don't have any new business. Item 1, clerk correspondence. Item 2, controller
All right,
correspondence.
I have a few things. You'll notice on your desk that I put a sheet on there entitled Montcalm County Parks Rules. At the completion of our little ad hoc committee meetings, Doug and I were instructed to just put this together and go forward with it. I pretty much went by the rules that were a summary of the ordinance. So if no one has any objections to these, this is what we will print on big signs for McCarthy, Schmid, and Crump Parks. But I'll hold off a day or two in case you have objection to something there. It's kind of the same thing as the old ones, just not as much wording. And then I did want to let you know too, we had our first request for special use for McCarthy Park for music for 1 hour for an open house. So I approved it. I allowed it. So I just brought a copy of the form we made to ask for permission if someone wants to check that out. It will happen on, where's the date? June 27th.
What time of day?
The open house is from 2 to 6, and the music is going to happen from 5 to 6. The name is Jesse Ray, and he's a one-man blues rock performer.
What if they call them up for an encore?
Six
So I'll have to cut him off.
Cut off?
Call it open 5:50.
And then also you will see this on your desk. This is just kind of an FYI. This is what we've been working on for how long, Chris? A year and a half, 2 years? Year and a half, probably. You will see, this is kind of the preliminary plan. You will see this in its finality in November to approve before we have to send it out to all the municipalities and townships
November.
with a simple resolution, yeah, at the second meeting in November. And we have like a specific timeline of things that we have to do on certain increments, so we'll be kind of busy trying to keep on top of those timelines between now and then, but I just wanted you guys to just see it before November, so you weren't surprised and didn't know what was coming down the pipe. There is a lot more to it with the appendices. The appendices will make it like 10 times thicker than this is. I just didn't want to burden you with those, but you will have those in the November one, all the appendices. other than the township resolutions. Because once you guys approve it, then we have 10 days to get it out to all the townships and municipalities, and they have 4 months to approve it. And we figured that the easiest thing to do would just a simple resolution that they could pass and then get that back to us. So those would be included once it goes to Eagle for final approval by April 30th of next year. We have to have that all done.
So
So,
like on page 5, it references the electronics day that we've been just kind of approving on a year-to-year basis.
yeah,
Okay. And then are all those other ones above that in the annual spring are those all going to happen, or those are subject to a vote every year as well?
no, that's just locations where we've held previous ones. We do have one coming up on May 16th. We have a tire and electronics one. And then on June 27th, we have our household hazardous waste one. And I did give the committee permission to use the parking lot between the health department and the court complex for those days.
That's second day.
7/27.
No, 6/27, June 27th
Sorry.
is the household hazardous waste one.
And May 12th, you said?
May 16th
16.
is tire and electronics. We do have those on the website. Yeah, and Michelle's got copies of them laying out there on the table if you want to pick them up.
And those are both here in Stanton at the. where?
Yeah, at our parking lot between the health department and court complex.
Okay.
So, we normally move it around, but we normally have 2 a year,
Mhm.
2 of them in the spring and 2 of them in the fall, but we've kind of reduced to just the spring ones. So we thought having it centrally located would be the best. And we'll just probably play that by ear as the years go on, what we do. But I think that is all I have on my list. So I'm done.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Up next, new business item 3, chair, board correspondence. Chair doesn't have anything. Does anyone else?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Johnson?
I did receive a phone call from, can't remember who from, off the top of my head, I can't remember the name, but anyway, another compliment for Trevor down in Veterans Affairs, doing a great job.
Good. Nice, thank you. That ends new business. Old business item 1 is the private road ordinance discussion.
All right, did everybody do your homework? I will say I did reach out to all the townships and municipalities as well to get their opinions. I got 3 or 4 back. I thought Bill Drews would be here tonight because I had a lengthy conversation with him on the phone. He thinks the county should do it.
Should repeal it?
No, we should have it. A couple village managers thought we should keep it. Cato Township responded and said that they had, she'd read it and they had zoning, so it really didn't apply, even though I think her zoning ordinance had some errors in it in reference to the road commission. And I thought what Bill was going to come to and talk to was a special assessment district that they set up for one of their private roads, where under that maintenance agreement that everyone was supposed to have on file in the registered deeds office, it's supposed to lay out who's responsible for what. I guess they were having some issues, kind of like you described, Matt, where people weren't pulling their weight. And so they set up a special assessment district. So now everybody's going to get assessed on their taxes. Now, I don't know who is in charge of making things happen in that, but I guess my overall take on it, I did read through it. I have a lot of yellow highlighter in here because it refers to the building official being the person for everything, and that department's really not doing anything. It's our equalization departments that's issuing the permits. So if we choose to keep it, we got a major overhaul to do on this. So that's my 2 cents.
Okay, anyone?
Mr. Chair,
Alexander.
I guess to me, it doesn't apply to a lot of townships in the county, but I think it's still important to have it. It almost feels like we're just trying to get rid of something because we're not following it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the right, what the right response is going forward, but just because we're not following, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad ordinance.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Murray.
would it make sense to, but instead of rescinding this now, would it make sense to explore maybe something that would be more, would be something closer to what we'd actually abide by and have something prepared before we rescind what we have?
Just to piggyback off that, have we talked to legal about any of this? I mean, is this something we need to have? I mean, did we get a lawyer's opinion on it, or could we send it out and get a lawyer's opinion on it and see what they think?
Yeah, I mean, I sent them all our ordinances 5 years ago
Right.
and asked them to go over them, and they didn't do it. So,
Hmm.
so now I'm choosing to do it one at a time.
Right.
So,
We have the equalization director with us. I don't know if she has any thoughts on that.
Well, it's actually the building department's ordinance. I mean, so
They
we
want to,
have a part in our address ordinance about private drives.
Mhm.
And when we do them, but anything else goes through this ordinance, we just try and stand by it.
The building department doesn't believe they have as much knowledge as other departments might have in that area, as far as like recording the easements and doing some of those other things. And if we decided to give this another look with some modification, and it end up falling heavily around the equalization department to administer, what's your take on that?
I think we'd probably be able to do it depending on what the extent of that is.
Okay.
I mean, as far as putting in an easement, or what the road grade and all that stuff is supposed to be, we're not qualified to do that.
Sure.
mm-mm.
I mean, we'll do what we're qualified to do.
Mhm. Well, that's exactly the
Yeah,
answer
makes
I was
sense.
looking for. It gives us some idea what we need to tweak in the current one maybe, and make it something that's more administratively feasible for your department or some other department. Thank you.
I wonder if it would be possible to have the road commission have a bigger role in this. It'd still be our ordinance, but they have what do you think, Nate? You're wrinkling up your nose.
You act like you
I
worked
don't
there
think
or
they would
something.
do it, but
Well,
like I said before, they can't spend money on anything that's not Act 51 funded. So
But like we talked before the meeting, if everybody that lived on these new private drives came together and basically created their own special assessment and found out what the price tag was, then the road commission, do you think would be, no? Okay.
I think they could do that and then hire somebody,
Right.
special assessment district, and hire a contractor to do it.
But you
That's
couldn't
what
hire
they've
the
done
road
in, like,
commission.
Pearson Township does that all the time.
Yeah.
I think it's cleaner that way.
So a lot of these little drives already have their own agreements. I'm just curious as
They
to,
have road maintenance agreements that are recorded. They
they're
don't have.
supposed to have.
Special assessments. They have road maintenance agreements.
but this doesn't currently, the way it sits, have a special assessment either.
No.
So I'm just curious as to what would supersede. I mean, if I get my neighbors around and we sign a maintenance agreement, does this nullify that? If we're using this, I mean, or
No,
vice
I would
versa?
say not. I mean, if you have a road maintenance agreement,
Well, and like Nate brought up earlier, it's really going to be geared towards the 4 or 5 townships that are unzoned. Because most of the other ones that are zoned are going to have something in their
not all of them.
document.
I didn't find, there was a few of them that I
That
didn't find
didn't?
anything.
I know that in real estate, most lenders won't lend unless something like this is put in place. And so quite often I have to go and if there is one in place, I have to get one in place and have the neighbors sign it. So
I
that there
wondered
is some
about that.
clear cut explanation as to who is going to maintain the road.
So this would,
I'm finding they're becoming more lax on that.
Yeah, I would agree.
so this wouldn't help or hurt your line
Well, I mean,
business.
to be honest with you, I didn't even know this existed. And I'm wondering if it wouldn't help. I'm wondering if I could supply that to a lender and go, hey, the county has something in place.
Right.
This already spells out that if you live on a private road, that you're supposed to split. So, I don't know.
Who's the appropriate group to study this project? Do you want to leave it all to the controller to take a first run at it? Do you want to form an ad hoc committee like we did on the park ordinance? What's your pleasure on looking into this deeper? Just one at a time.
Yeah, not everybody at once.
Well, I think Nate's a good resource because he's worked for the road commission, so he knows what they're probably willing to do and what they're not willing to do. And so, I mean, outside of us leaning on the road commission, realistically, what can we enforce? What can we do about any of this? I mean,
Yeah, the only part of it that really I think is outside of our purview completely is building the road to the road
Right.
commission's specs. I mean, that's got to be all road commission going out and reviewing that or signing off on that. That's why I say it. Can't we pull them in somehow?
Is that
I
what we
mean-
want to do? I mean, that sounds like we're putting a lot of homeowners to
Yeah.
make their road, private drive be to the specs of road commission.
But that's what it says in the ordinance.
That's what it is.
right? That's what it's always been.
Yeah.
But again, to Nate's point, it's only in like 4 or 5 townships. So any other township that has this ordinance in place, they can set their own specs. Road commission doesn't have anything to do with it. So
Interesting.
I guess
they set the standards and have the standards listed that you're supposed to build it to. But past that, I guess that's all they have.
right.
That's
The
their
road
only skin in the
commission, you're
game.
saying?
Yeah.
So a recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Brenda? Is it something you want to tackle? Tweaking some of what we've got there and bring back a second draft look, or do you want us to form a,
I can give it a shot.
whatever you
Yeah,
think is the
just,
most?
I just don't know on the whole enforcement part of it because I know Mike does not want to do it.
Is there any way to reach out to other counties and just kind of see what
See what they
doing?
do. I can try. Yeah.
I mean,
So I can send it to legal and see
Right.
if they've got any others in their
they'll
files.
probably look at you and say, "Oh, we don't know. Talk to the road commission."
Well, and I think Mike's biggest problem with the whole issue was the specifications of the private drives, the gravel, the dirt,
Right, right.
all of that stuff.
Right.
They're not qualified to do that stuff.
Right. Yeah. That and he doesn't want to go see if everybody's got a maintenance agreement on file. I get it. He's got
Yeah.
enough on his plate with building. So I'll give it a whirl. I don't know that it'll happen anytime soon,
Okay, is that,
but maybe it will. Who knows?
everyone good with that, or you got different? Okay,
I'll enlist the assistance of the road commission too, or their 2 cents anyway.
good. All right, that ends old business. Up next is public comments.
How you guys doing? Since I go by the name Daddy, most of all, especially in my house, it's the name I hear the most. You guys can call me Daddy. I'm from Detroit.
Let me just interject, just to be compliant with our rules. I'm gonna acknowledge that I believe this person to be Jeff Hines. He was before us as a candidate for the Board of Commissioners. I believe his address to be 109 North Bauer Street, Greenville, Michigan. So we're gonna read that into the record as who is before us. Thank you.
Thank you for validating that you knew
Please
who I was
proceed.
last time when you shut me down. That's fantastic. Here, let me continue. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the Michigan Open Meetings Act. Wait, that don't sound right. This right here is a federal complaint that I'm going to be filing in the Western District of Michigan for Smallcombe County Board of Commissioners and Patrick Q. Carr. I got your address too, don't worry. When you're served, we'll go ahead and deal with it then, but I won't read it out loud. Wow. The complaints I have in here, you guys are worried about speech. I'm worried about the retaliation that you did when you walked around here knowingly. See, I think judges may have a problem with that. Nonetheless, we're going to go ahead and end up in court. We're going to go ahead and discuss a few things. Make sure you guys go ahead and get all your emails, your phone calls, your text messages in order. That's going to be very important as we move forward. Now, Adam, you know, I want to go ahead and bring up something that I'm not sure about. Did you flip off my daughter when you were driving past us in Jorgie's?
It's not a public, it's
No,
not.
I'm allowed to ask. These are my 3 minutes. I'm on my time.
Okay.
I will use them as I see fit.
Thank
I want you to think about this. Did you flip off my daughter or did you wave to her? Because I want your honest assessment of this because she believes you flipped her off. I even told Brian, I think you waved. But my daughter believes you flipped her off. That's a problem, man. You sit here and you judge people. You tell us how to act and you act a fool yourself. You ain't no better, man. I'm not going to be judged by you or any of you, a dude who barks in my face, and not one of you reprimanded him. So now I have to go press assault charges on him because none of you found it right to go ahead and reprimand him. So now I have to go get the sheriffs involved because you guys couldn't do your job. This is a problem that you guys brought on yourselves, that he brought to you by interfering with Stuffabus. All of this comes back to this loudmouth right here wanting to show off, act tough. And this is what it brings to you. A lawsuit, a 7-page complaint. I ain't worried about the Open Meetings Act. I'm worried about the retaliation that I am getting from all of you. Some of you needed to stand up. Y'all didn't. I'm just deciding what I'm going to plant on the farm when I own it. You know, somebody said something to me not too long ago, and it made me realize you guys aren't well liked at all either. Somebody said, "Hey, Joe, I got a crop duster." I said, "Nah, not my style. Maybe theirs, not mine." Hey, I noticed your car blew up in the race over there. If you were looking for some good sponsorships, I know somebody who gets 14 million views since you wanted to go ahead and, you know, intersect yourself with stuff.
That's 3 minutes. Thank
Yes, it
you.
is. You guys have a good day.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
Hi, Commissioners. Long time.
There's been-
Ron Retzloff, 832 Senator Road, Crystal, Michigan. I've just got a quick brief thing. I know you guys have talked about blight ordinances and the townships, and some are so and some aren't, and so on. I just have some pictures. They're from an unzoned township. I'd like to just give them to you to look at. This is what happens without zoning, without anybody doing anything to take care of things. That's all I got to say.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Vice Chairman
I
Peterson.
move to adjourn.
Support. It's been moved and supported to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.